Hi, this is Natalie from Own My Health, and I'm excited today to talk to you about something that's not exciting, which is the concept of procrastination. And I know that all of us have endured that at some point in our life, where we know we need to get something done. It's been on our to-do list. It's one of our goals. It's something that we really want to accomplish in our lives. And for some reason, we throw in these sort of self-sabotage things unconsciously in the way. Different things somehow miraculously or somehow just show up and distract you or cause you to not fulfill whatever it is that you were supposed to accomplish that day. And or we get lost in la land as we, turn on Facebook and or YouTube or some other social media feed, and somehow we look up and realize that an hour has just disappeared. So sometimes we throw in these roadblocks unconsciously to sort of distract us away from something that we think is going to be hard or takes time, that we think will be boring, that we're not really super oriented or excited about. And so, we'll procrastinate. So I use the analogy of the pendulum to describe what I sort of see as being the reasons behind it, and 6 steps that I've come up with to overcome procrastination. And the concept of the pendulum is really interesting because really, when you think about a pendulum at rest, it is a great way for us to sort of think about just the way we live our lives daily. And that is, we are generally moving. It's sort of Newton's third law, which is, an object will stay at rest until it's actually pushed or moved by a force. And so this is back from my days in physics where, something will stay at rest or it will continue to move at the same speed in the same direction that it always has been moving unless an external force is pushed on it or exerted on it. So it can either change direction, change speed, or just start moving in general. So I sort of see that this pendulum concept is really important because right here at a standstill, that pendulum is in an inertial state. It's in a state of rest. And so what we really need to be doing here at this point is to find out what is it that needs to be done to that pendulum for it to actually move. And what we need to be doing is we need to add an external force so that it can move it can actually start moving. Now, that's actually something that's really important as well as you think about procrastination and getting you to move on your goals is what is it going to take to get you to move? And one of the things I already mentioned is sometimes we end up throwing these roadblocks or these distractions unconsciously because we're just not excited about what we have ahead of us. Maybe we know that we need to get up in the morning to go to work, but we'll put the snooze button on the alarm, or we'll just kind of dodge around a little bit, or we'll just, dig in and, continue to sleep. This could be on the weekend and you just don't want to get up and enjoy the morning. Whatever it is, there might be a lack of excitement or motivation. And so one of the things that you really need to be doing is to really figure out what is it that excites you, what lights your fire, what's something that you just cannot wait to get up and get started on. And sometimes it just takes some time to reflect on that, to give you the opportunity to go from inaction to action. What is the external force that you're going to need to move yourself so that you can start to progress day by day on the things that you want to achieve? And so really what you're looking at here is 2 opposing forces, which is the force of action and then also the natural force of inaction. Now, in the case of the pendulum, the force of inaction is actually gravity. So as soon as you push this pendulum this way, it's not going to keep moving. What you're going to find is an opposing force that will move the pendulum back to where it was supposed to go. Now, that is actually just the law of gravity. But we also can use the analogy in our own personal lives, is that when we push in a direction or we try to exert that energy to get moving and to get into action, there's always going to be resistance. There's going to be the opposing forces that will resist us against making things happen, or for making that, progress that we want. That can be things that are going on internally for ourselves, the resistance that we feel. This could be, some limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves, about the world around us, about the fact that perhaps we've tried to do this action before and we failed. So we already set up mental roadblocks, and we start to project that and already set ourselves up for failure. And so using that law of gravity, it just automatically pushes us back to where the pendulum was in the very first place. So what needs to happen here is a continuous force every single day, almost like running water over rocks that over thousands of years will actually mold and meld and shape that rock. You need to get into action every day getting into momentum, so that you can actually move your pendulum into action, into action, into action, and against the forces of gravity, against resistance, against the negative forces that will push you back into where you were before. So I'd really like to share with you 6 steps that I actually use to move against inaction or procrastination. And the first one really is about filtering. As I was mentioning, we need to make sure that we're really focused on the goals that we're super excited about. And then the key way to do that is to remove the distractions, the noise, the resistance, the limiting beliefs, the things that we really think are just going to get in our way. And we need to put those blinders on, remove the peripheral distractions and noise, and completely filter and focus on what is it that we need to move our pendulum today. The other one is speed. Speed is our friend. And I know that there's a lot of people that will say, well, you can't move too fast, you're going to make mistakes, or nothing ever good happens when you move fast because you haven't thought through. There is actually that balance, but with all things in life, between speed and thoughtfulness. And so we want to make sure that we move quickly, but do it with quality. So we want to do it with a certain level of excellence and preeminence. And so that does require some analysis, but you don't want to be paralyzed by it. So speed means success. And the faster you can do things, the faster you can fail. See, now if we never get into action, we will never be able to know if something worked. We will never realize if that was the right force to move the pendulum to where you wanted it to go. So you actually have to move into action quickly so that you can fail quickly, and then readjust yourself so that you can try another way to move the pendulum, and then fail really quickly so that you can try something else. The trick here is that there is no right or wrong way to move this pendulum. There's just your way. There's just the way that you have decided to that day, or what works for you specifically. And only you, can be able to figure out what that is. You can get guidance from people, but the best guidance system is the one that you feel intuitively. And so being able to listen to that, being able to take the time to plan and analyze and to test it. So act quickly and fail quickly. And the 4th step really is just generally a sense of urgency. We need to have that fire. I call it the fire in your belly. And that is being able to just be lit up, be so set up so that you're just going to pounce, and you're going to take some massive action because you're stoked, you're excited, this is what you want, and there's nothing else. You're going to overcome all the resistance, the negative thinking, the judgment from others, the ridicule from people, or the people who just ultimately don't say anything because they don't really believe you're going to be able to do it, including yourself. So being able to create a sense of urgency where speed is your friend, and you want to be able to feel that excitement. A sense of urgency doesn't have to always be it doesn't have to be set up with a lot of negativity, because a lot of times we feel that a sense of urgency comes with limiting beliefs about time. It comes with limiting beliefs around stress levels and the release of cortisol. A sense of urgency can come, and I'm talking about the positive way of using a sense of urgency, with excitement, inspiration, and motivation. With the fifth step, I'd like to talk about the 10 times. So by using all of these different strategies, being able to consciously start your day with the belief that you are going to today do 10 times the amount of work that you did yesterday, 10 times the amount of productivity that you did the day before. And this is all based on beliefs that you can accomplish anything. And it's so easy, and I've done this actually myself in the past, where you have 15 minutes available to you. And then your limiting beliefs are, there's no way I can get anything substantial done in 15 minutes. I think I'm just going to kick back, get on my email, and just filter email. And email is one of the biggest time wasters, time sucks that you could ever get yourself into. And so 15 minutes is 15 minutes of glory, 15 minutes that you can leverage your sense of urgency, get on something fast, pounce on it, put some massive energy into something and tick it off. You can do that in 15 minutes. And this is one of the biggest lessons I've learned, to be able to leverage my 10 times strategy so that I can get more done today than I've ever gotten before. And the last thing I just wanted to mention that's really important on the sixth step is the idea, sorry about my chicken scratching, I have terrible handwriting, is the idea about compounding. Now, we all know about compounding as it relates to financials, compounding interest. I mean, we've heard this all in the past about millionaire mindsets and rich dad, poor dad, and everything. Just, you know, the greatest invention of all time is compounding interest, and the way that money can build over time, and we all get that. But one of the things that we oftentimes don't realize is the idea about compounding effort. Now, what's interesting here when we come back to the pendulum concept is that when we continue to add that effort, that massive energy, even if it's a little bit every day to move that pendulum, we do it quickly so that we can fail fast and learn a new way of moving it and a new way of moving it day after day after day, so that we can keep that energy going and moving and progressing in the way we want to reach our goals. And the idea here is the compounding, is that eventually when we get that momentum going, we keep moving it and pushing it, we find that we can actually move mountains, because that momentum will actually help you. It's the same concept as the compounding interest. It may not feel like a lot today, but over time you will have some massive progress. And I really relate this to things like weight loss, losing body fat, all those small incremental changes that you make, the small pushes on the pendulum, the efforts that you do each and every day that you don't think are making a difference. With time and with momentum and with the idea of the compounding effort, those will have a huge impact. And I can tell you that this comes from my personal experience, that one day you just wake up and look in the mirror and can't believe what you're seeing. It is the power and the law of compounding effort. So I encourage all of you to think of today about what it is that you have been doing to procrastinate on your world of the pendulum, and really considering those 6 steps in overcoming those and trying something today to take some massive action on the goals that you have for yourself.